collision with purpose, in pursuit of purpose.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the In the Spotlight, the home of Unfiltered Conversation. This is where real talk is what we do. My name is Donna Thompson.
And I am Dr. Laxton Stevenson, and together we're your moderators. Donna, you say this is what? Unfiltered conversation. What does that mean?
Unfiltered conversation. This is where anything is on the table for discussion. This is where you get to be your authentic self and speak about what's on your mind and what's on your heart.
Are you saying you can say anything on this platform?
Anything on this platform.
Anything?
Yes.
Wow. What you going to talk about tonight? You have some out there stuff to say that would be categorized as anything?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Today we have our guests that we're going to have today. Now, of course, every week I say like, this is really, really phenomenal. This is a great, and our guest is really awesome, but it's going to be hot on this platform today. Today is conversations where it's a panel discussion. We have three phenomenal men who are powerhouse, doing great things in their community, and they're going to bring some real talk to us today. So it's going to be real. It's going to be on the table, and it's going to be some real deep conversations happening. So I can't wait to hear what's going to happen. I'm the only lady that's on the platform today.
Isn't that an awesome thing that you're going to, you're the only lady here and you're going to just bring things together and tie it all together. So, but before we get into this awesome conversation with these men, these gentlemen, what's going on in the A Collision with Purpose world? What do you have to tell us about?
Oh, wow. So yes, of course, in A Collision with Purpose world, we have a lot of stuff. Oh my gosh, so much stuff going on. But one thing that we definitely have that I'm encouraging everyone to jump on this opportunity is the guide. It's actually Unearthing You, Your Guide to Self-Discovery and Personal Growth. That is actually out currently for purchase. You can purchase on our website, acollisionwithpurpose.com, or you can go to Amazon and purchase this guide as well. However, with the guide comes a workshop. And I'm telling you guys, you purchase the guide, you want to get the workshop, because this is where you're going to actually be working on yourself. There's several exercises that's in this guide, and it's all about you. It's all about yourself, working on yourself. For the holidays, we have a great special that is happening for the holidays, and that's actually going for $199. That will be the workshop. It's a 6-hour workshop. It's an online workshop, 6-hour interactive workshop along with the guide. And what a great way to start your new year. Sowing the seed and setting those goals and great intentions to start the new year for self-improvement and self-growth. I think that's great. I mean, I can't wait for the workshop, which actually the workshop is happening February 24th.
What can our listeners expect to get from this workshop and from the book? Can you share something from the book?
Oh, sure. Of course, from the book and the workshop, it's going to be all about self-improvement, self growth, and being the best version of yourself. That's what you're going to be walking away with from the workshop. However, let me just share one of our actual participants, what she had to say about this guide. She said, Unearthing You, it's your guide to self-discovery and personal growth. Brings tremendous self-awareness to areas of your life that need restoration. You hear that word, guys? Restoration. It equips you with the tools to help you walk in your God given purpose. This resource provides a solid foundation for creating a successful future through self development and self discovery, resulting in self fulfillment. Those around you will also benefit from your personal growth. This is an excellent investment for yourself and your future. And that's thank you to Renee Lee Rogers, who's an educator and a life coach. And that's what she had to say about this guide. So, as you can see, the guide, yes, is for self restoration and self growth, but there was something so profound that she said in here, where she said, those around you will also benefit from your personal growth. Your family and friends, they're going to benefit from you being the best version of yourself. So, make the investment.
The best version of yourself. And how can they purchase this workshop? How can our listeners purchase this workshop?
So you'll just go to a collisionwithpurpose.com, and that's where you will be able to purchase your workshop along with the actual guide.
And the book is also available at a collisionwithpurpose.com and also on Amazon. So we recommend that you go here and get this powerful guide. We prefer to call it a guide because it's going to really get you where you want to be. It's a roadmap that you can use to get to where you need to be, to find who you are. And just as the title is saying, it's Unearthing You, your personal guide to growth and self-discovery. So what else is going on in the A Collision with Purpose world?
So in A Collision with Purpose, we also have the great book, of course, that is coming out the ending of this month, and that is A Collision with Purpose, In Pursuit of Purpose. And that will be out for, well, actually, you can pre-order your copy today. So go ahead, you can pre-order your copy. And of course, you can pre-order your copy on the website as well. And that book is a powerhouse. It's a must read. It's a book where we have 18 collaborators who have shared their stories of triumphs, things that they have had to overcome in life. And by going through these things, they were able to find their purpose. They took something bad that happened to them and turned it into something positive so that now they can live a more fulfilled life. And what a way for individuals to share their stories so that we can have true life stories, examples where people who are suffering, where they're having challenges in life and they just don't even know where to start, how to overcome. This book, it gives people the hope, inspiration of how you can turn those bad situations into something positive. So that book, go ahead and pre-order, and that will be published the end of this year of 2023.
And the book is available at a collisionwithpurpose.com. Again, you can pre-order it. I highly recommend you get this book. 18 collaborators from all different parts of the world. We have from Bulgaria, from France, from Canada, from Jamaica, here in the United States, all talking about their story, how they had their collision with their purpose. So highly recommend you go out there and get this book. It's a win-win situation there. What else is happening? Something big is happening March 2nd of March. Something huge is happening.
Oh, yes. March 2nd, it's when we will be having our colloquium or event that will be taking place at the Shiloh High School in Snellville, Georgia. And of course, this is where we'll also have the book will be available there as well. And this will just be an evening of honoring individuals in our community, like our unsung heroes. individuals who are giving back to their community daily, but no one knows about them, no one hears about them. And this is an opportunity where we'll be able to actually recognize those individuals. We'll have several speakers that will be joining us as well. And also, we'll have some of the collaborators from the book, A Collision with Purpose, that will be available there as well. And of course, you'll be able to meet them, have conversations with them, and network with them. But one thing I do want to tell everyone is that it's going to be a great event of networking. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have some like cocktails. Well, not cocktail. We're gonna have drinks.
No cocktails.
We're not gonna have cocktail. We're gonna have like food and desserts and things of that nature. But one thing I want to say is that come to the event with an open heart and an open mind to be filled with knowledge and inspiration that you can take back and just kind of like change your life path. So it's going to be that kind of event where you're going to have a lot of positivity, a lot of empowerment pouring into you. So definitely, come out.
As you said, we're going to be recognizing these unsung heroes, these local people who are doing purposeful work in their communities day in, day out. And we're going to give them their flower, right? We're going to recognize them because they're the ones, they're making it happen. A big thing as well that, we will be making an announcement about our Learning Academy, and we will be offering courses online and all that good stuff. So that should be coming out, powerful stuff there. I want to show a little bit about show our apparel line. They're available. Get online and purchase one. We have them in different colors. We have them in I got to hold this straight, right? I say paint the purpose.
Paint the purpose.
Yes, and we have on the back here a nice big logo right here. All right. So good stuff. So is there anything else happening in our world, the Collision with Purpose world? Isn't that enough? That's a lot, right?
Yeah, that's a lot. There's more. There's so much more that we're working on that will be happening in 2024. But that's what we have right now. That's going on. That's hot on the press.
We have daily insights going on. Daily insights where I go online and I'm talking about these topics that I'm picking up from just having conversations with my friends, with individuals calling me up and saying, can you speak on this? And, so we're doing that, and it's been very impactful so far. Very impactful, I might add. How can someone get on this program? As a guest?
Well, if you'd like to be a guest, absolutely reach out to us, a collisionwithpurpose@gmail.com. And just, email us and send us your interest. Or, if you're online here with us, definitely go ahead and put your information in the chat and we will definitely be in touch with you. And once you send us your information and your interest, go ahead and also send us, your bio, and that will be helpful as well. And someone will be in touch with you.
Awesome. So I know today we're here to talk about the role of a Black male in today's society. But before we jump and dive into that topic, let's take a quick break. You think it's time to take a break?
Yeah, sure. Let's take just a quick break, though, okay?
A collision with purpose. In pursuit of purpose.
Right, welcome back. Welcome back. We're about to bring our guests on. But before I bring them on, today is December 18th. It's a big day in my family. It's actually, my brother's birthday, and I think it's fitting, considering we're talking about the role of a black male in today's society, to wish him happy birthday here on this platform. So, to my brother Martin, I want to wish you a happy, happy birthday. You are one individual, one black male that I know who's really delivering on the promise of being a black male in today's society. So I want to say you, love you endlessly. All right, just wanted to share that. All right, so I think it's time now, Donna, to bring our guests on. I'm going to bring them on in. We have one.
All right, so we have no other than Mr. Juan Smith with us today, and he is a certified life coach and also the founder of Improve You Coaching Consulting Company. So welcome to In the Spotlight.
Hello, hello.
All right. We have my good friend, Mr. Garfield McCook, the man, president of Jamaica International Foreign Song Competition. We call it JIFS. So welcome, Mr. McCook. Looking forward to hearing from you today.
Thank you, Dr. Lax. Thank you, Donna. And hail up, Mr. Juan Smith.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. And look who we have here, Mr. Art Hines, my good friend, Mr. Hines. Former teacher, once a teacher, always a teacher, right? Always an educator. And Mr. Hines is also a real estate professional. So welcome, Mr. Hines.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah.
He speak with such authority. He was a teacher, right? With such authority, right? So, today we're going to be, gentlemen, talking about the role of a black male in today's society. A not so friendly place for some black people, right? So, it's unfiltered. Say what's on your mind. That's what we do here, right, Donna?
Yep, absolutely. That's what we do here.
Whatever is on your mind, say it. But before we get into it, let's just a little bit about yourselves. And starting with you, Juan, can you just share a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Much like the other gentleman on tonight, I am an educator. I've been in education, working in education for going on 12 years now. So as a profession, I would say more importantly though, Juan, I am a leader, a coach, a father, a voice, an advocate. More importantly, an advocate.
Thank you, Juan. Mr. McCook, you want to share a little bit about yourself, so our audience know who they're talking to, listening to?
Okay, yeah. Good night again. Gary McCook, president, founder of the Jamaica International Independence Foreign Song Competition. As you said earlier, wear many hats, but I'm going to focus on that hat tonight. A father also of two young men, 27 and 24. So I'm still young, but they're the ones who keep me young, and I'm glad. And they always say they are glad that they have me as a dad to guide them in the society that we currently live in.
Wow. So, Mr. Art Hines, can you share a little bit about yourself? Tell us who you are.
Yes. Art Hines. I'm a former educator. I taught in the public high schools for a number of years, but I really do consider myself a salesman. I've sold for the better part of my life. I started off in the manufacturing representative selling across the country. And now I'm a real estate salesperson, but I've always felt that once a salesman, always a salesman. As you said earlier, once a teacher, always a teacher. And most importantly, I feel that my most important role is I am a father. I have 4 children, and I'm a child of the King. So that's about my story.
That's about your story. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Hines. Donna, you want to say anything to these gentlemen?
I just want to say welcome to In the Spotlight, and thank you all so much for deciding to join us in this panel discussion. And I feel, honestly speaking, even though I'm the only female on the platform this evening, I feel very honored to be in you all presence, because I can't wait to just hear all that you're going to share. And I'm just honored to be here, even though I'm the only female. But I find it to be a very, an honor to hear everything that you guys have to say, you gentlemen have to say, and how much I'm going to learn from you this evening.
Right. So thank you, Donna. So let's dive in. Right. And my first question is, I want to ask each of you to share a personal experience that profoundly shaped your understanding of your identity in today's society.
I'll go ahead and start that off, Dr. Stevenson. To answer that question more specifically, I would say when I started in education, about 2012, I started as a graduation coach in a public high school in East Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee. And I remember starting out, and long short of it, coming in as a young Black man in education, I learned quickly that the mindset and mentality concerning Black and brown men, or just the community at large, was pretty low. Was pretty poor. And I knew that because I was almost treated by the students now as like I was a celebrity, because I could articulate well. When I showed up to work, I was always either in a vest or a bow tie, whatever it was, and they were so impressed. And I quickly started to learn that how they saw our community, how they saw themselves, was a pretty bad place. I even remember asking them, what does Black mean to you? And a lot of them said poor, ugly, unintelligent. We talked about drug dealing and incarceration, all of these baby mamas, broken families, all of these things, because that was the experience. So I learned quickly that my role in society, especially our community, in such a time as now, was to help shift that narrative about what it meant to be Black or brown in this culture, in this nation, in this world. That it doesn't mean unintelligent, it doesn't mean ugly, it doesn't mean poor, impoverished, or broke. And so being a representation of this community, I think has become a role and a passion of mine, especially when it comes to youth and young adults.
Wow. Gentlemen, feel free to jump in. You can respond to my question, or you can respond to what one is saying. So feel free to jump in, and Donna, jump in as well.
I'll give the gentleman an opportunity to jump in, and I'll make a comment.
Well, I share one sentiment, in that when I started as a teacher, I started with that very population of young men, young Black men. As a matter of fact, one of my first teaching positions was in juvenile hall. The city runs a school inside of the juvenile center, and I was assigned to teach science classes at that particular location. Now, it was amazing to me in that some of our smartest young men is where I found them there. Some of those young men had awesome brain power. And I asked one of them, I was very impressed with his intellectual ability. So I asked him, why are you here? And apparently he robbed a bank riding a bicycle and got caught. So I think a lot of that comes from the fact that we have so many families that has an absentee father in the home. So I think, we have a role to play in that, but at the same time, we can't take the full responsibility of saying, well, our young people are running off the track as far as doing the right thing because I wasn't there. Because there are very multiple reasons why the father is not in the home. So I think regardless to what the reasons are, I think we're going to have to fix it and keep it moving forward for our youth and our society.
Yeah, well said, gentlemen. Let me just jump in here, as they say. I remember coming to America and starting out in the corporate world. And I worked for a company back then in New York where you started out like as a parking attendant. And I was there and I saw that all of the folks on the top, they didn't look like me. And I had folks who was working with the company for a long time, young men who decided to stay at that level. And I went on to get my degree, which I think was very important for me as a Black man in America. And there came a time when there was a promotion offered to me, and I asked them, hey, I'm going to replace Mr. X, who is not looking like me. Where's Mr. X going? And they said, do you want the job or not? I said, okay, I want the job. I'll take it. And then a few weeks later, I said, so who is going to cross over with me? They said, Mr. X, which I found very interesting. And I moved up in that company, and the young men there who were there before I got there, I basically left them on the lower rung. And based on my upward mobility, they were able to move up the ladder also because they saw where I came and I excelled, while I think they mentally were thinking that they could not do more than where they were. So it was a great experience to see young men coming up, looking like me and doing things. One of the good things that company did, although it was a small company, if you're in a management level, they would lend you funds to buy your first house. So again, there were all these guys that were there, younger men, who didn't have a home, didn't have a house. They came from a foreign land. And, I encouraged them to go ahead and once you're in a management position, apply and get their loan. And they all got their homes. So it was a good experience, and I see my sons even ask me now, Dad, they look at their friends' parents who are here and saying, how come you came to a country like this? You have properties being rented to people who live here. They just can't understand that equation. So, I kind of mentor their friends also and tell them that, look, the sky's the limit, but you got to be educated to make that happen.
Thank you, Gary. You touch on mentoring there. Let's talk a little bit about mentoring. How important is that? And is there enough of that going on?
I would say it's very important. It's very important that you have to lead by example. And if they see what you do, I remember my boys coming to me and say, Dad, if we do something that is against the grain, it's not because of your teaching. It's just that we want to try it. But I was able to keep them, focused. So it's good to have two-parent households. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes the women become the fathers in the house, and they do a good job also. But it's very important to mentor, because they'll see what you do and they'll try and emulate what you do. And as my son said, if we go left or so, it's no fault of yours. You were a good mentor.
So even with your parenting, there's that level of curiosity that you want to try some other stuff that they see other their friends are doing as well. So that we also have to contend with that. I see that Donna is about to say something. Donna, let's bring you in here.
I think I kind of wanted to go back to what Juan was saying, like his experience in the schools. And I wanted to kind of ask, like, where do you think the children are getting this perception of who they are because of the color of their skin? Is it a combination of home, media, school? What are your thoughts on that? Like, where they, why are they thinking they're equating everything bad with the color of their skin?
Yeah, well, I actually think it's a conglomerate of all of that. I think it's home. It's definitely community, neighborhood, popular culture, media. I think a lot of that plays into how they see themselves. We spoke about just a few minutes ago, absenteeism in the home of fathers. And I do believe the saying that goes, what they see, they become. And so I believe a lot of times, and I'll say this too, I learned this as well, that you could have both parents in the house and still have an absent father, for various reasons. And that's not always a negative way. Parents have to work, people have to work, to make a living, but to go back to your question, I believe it's a lot of that. And a majority of the time, especially in my experience in the communities that I work and serve in, that there is a significantly large percentage of households that are missing positive role models of men. And so when that voice, when that presence is absent or just inconsistent, a lot of times you go looking to find your identity in various things and in various ways. And if something that's before you is regular, like I said, what they see, they become. If I don't have a positive role model and all I see is violence or drug dealing or incarceration or whatever it is, that's my mindset. That's who I'm to become. That's how I've seen the men operate and live in my family, in my community, in my neighborhood. So that's my reality. Oftentimes they say perception versus reality. I believe perception is reality, because how I perceive it in my mind, that's the reality of it all. That's what's really going on. And so I honestly believe that it's a mixture of all of that. So I really think that what they see, they become. So whatever is before them, like you said, Gary, about that example that you were able to provide to these mentees and also your sons, which is a great experience, and they had something to look forward to. Even if, like you said, they go left, they still have that edge in the back of my mind, like, Dad did it this way. So I went this way, didn't get what I was looking for. Let me try it his way, or just by his example. And a lot of times, I think just in the innocence of it all, that there are some young men who are really looking to get out of their circumstances, right? By any means necessary. So.
In essence, you could become a product of your environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's kind of back up and take a look at the historical perspective as to why some of these problems are still going on. As you know, the American black man has suffered slavery for over 400 years in this country. Now, at the advent of the end of slavery, slavery really ended in a certain format, but it really assumed a totally different format, but it was very similar to slavery. It's called Jim Crow. Jim Crow laws were set up after slavery, and those laws were designed to re-enslave the black man. The Jim Crow laws says, well, you are free unless you commit a crime. That sounds pretty innocent until you start looking at what is considered as you committing a crime. Well, if you are walking the streets and don't have a job, that's a crime. And that could re-enslave you. So the Jim Crow laws kept the slavery system intact as far as the black man was concerned, because all there had to be for you to commit a crime is for a white man to say, well, he stole my chickens. You say, I didn't steal your chickens. I didn't even know you had chickens. You stole my chickens. Well, society is going to believe what the white man say, not what the black man say. So there was a benefit for them to believe what the white man say, because they can re-enslave him and get what? Free labor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after Jim Crow, it never did totally disappear, but it was diluted somewhat. But it was replaced by mass incarceration of the black man. Today, there's a very high percentage, well over 50% of the black men who are still under the jurisdiction of the justice system. If they're not incarcerated in jail, they are on probation. They are overseen by the justice system in this country. So in addition to that, there's what we call a school to prison pipeline that is directly tied to our black males. Our society has calculated exactly how much jail space that is needed by taking a look at the school performance of the young black male in the 5th grade. Mm-hmm. They know by his school performance, by his behavior, that we're going to need a jail cell for him when he reaches a certain age. So, and that jail cell has been turned over to private industry, which it is very profitable. So it's in a lot of people's best interest to make sure that that child goes straight through that pipeline and into that profitable incarceration system. So it's a multiplicity of reasons why it's not that, well, this black guy is just dumb or he's just stupid. He's victimized by the system. However, it doesn't totally exonerate him from behaviors that he knows is going to cause problem for him. So it's not a simple, it's a whole bundle of issues. It's a ball of wax. It's a can of worms. So you can't just go in there and say, oh, I see one, that's the problem. No. It's the multiplicity of problem that has to be attacked on multiple fronts by multiple people. Not just the politicians have to play their part. Not just the preachers in the preachers in the church have to play their part. Not the fathers who are in the home, they have to play their part. And believe it or not, even the mothers who are in the home, they have to play their part, because there's a old adage that says that our Black mothers raise their daughters, but they spoil their sons. Now, what that means is that it's a lot more likely that she will hold her daughter to task as far as doing the right thing. But she will tend to give her son a free pass. If she knows that he's not doing the right thing, she's more likely to give him a free pass than she will give her daughter a free pass if she finds her not doing the right thing. So all of these issues are part of the problem that we are seeing today. So, you know, anytime we talk about these kind of problems, we got to look at it on all fronts as far as trying to figure out a way to solve the problems. I think the problems are solvable, but I think it's going to take a lot in order to do it.
Thank you for that. Let's begin the process of solution process here. And what I would like for each of you gentlemen to do is, what message would you like to share with the younger generation about navigating and succeeding in today's not so friendly world? What are some suggestions?
Well,
go ahead, Mr. Hines.
I think structure is very critical. I think structure from starting at a young age. And what I mean by structure is figure out a good system to put that child in to channel his energy. Our young men are full of energy. And if we don't have a structure to channel that energy into a positive direction, that energy is going all over the place. And generally, it uses a lot of that energy in the wrong way. And it creates problems for him down the road. So I think if we keep them in sports, I talked to a gentleman not long ago, and he had two sons, very highly energetic. But I knew them when they were 5, 6 years old. They used to come by and visit me, and I always laugh, take a nice little chuckle with the father, because I said, those boys were terrors. I guarantee you, the minute they come in there, they're going to find something to break. And once they break that, they put that down and go find something else to break. But I said, well, how did you, these are fine young men now. I said, how did you, he said, I kept them in sports. He said, I kept them in sports. If they were in basketball and basketball season's over, they go into baseball. Baseball season is over, they go into track. Track season is over, they go into football. Football season over, to go into wrestling. So he kept their energy channeled in a positive way. And now those boys are in college on athletic scholarships. So I think what he did is a model that's worth replicating. Keep that energy channel in a positive way as best you can. And if you're a single mom and you're not in a position to do that, solicit male counterparts, whether the relatives or friends or whoever, to help you to keep that young man's energy channel in a good, positive, right direction.
Thank you. Juan, before we get to you, I have a question for you. What do you think about this over reliance on athletics and sports for some of our
Well, I think it's incumbent upon us to help the young man realize that there's a lot of benefit in playing sports, as we just described, but at the same time, those few positions that the professionals get, it's a long shot. So don't elude yourself into thinking that, well, I'm going to go for the gusto and I'm going to have one of those positions. It's okay to think that way, but at the same time, you got to prepare. In the likely event that that doesn't happen. So you got to work both fronts. I wouldn't discourage the sports, but at the same time, I'll make sure that they realize that that's a very, very long shot that you will get one of those coveted positions that the pros have. Okay. Millions of young men out there trying to get those positions. There's only a few thousand positions out there. So you do the math.
Yep. Okay, Juan, I know you want to say something.
I was just going to say I completely agree with Mr. Hines, but I do want to say that sports are definitely a way to redirect. However, I've been at that position where I've coached, advised, counseled, whatever, or mentored young men who played from little league all the way to high school, secondary, and the offers didn't come 11th and 12th grade. Or the grades and the GPA and the test scores weren't where they needed to be for NCAA or anything else. So the offers didn't come. So here I am spending most of my life, and not all of my life, in sports, be it basketball, baseball, or football, whatever it is, and I don't get a scholarship or I don't get scouted or recruited. Then what do I do? Because the focus, especially a lot of times in just the inner cities, and I'm speaking from my experience, is that young man that is just seemingly that natural talent, he's going to take the family all the way. It's on his shoulders. It's on his back. And I have worked with, and still to this day, young men who have been like the top in their state, region, and everything else. And one bad decision cost them everything. And so to work and only know sports all the way up until your 19, 20, 21, and then be it your own decision, or just for whatever reason, it just doesn't work out the way you anticipated. What do you do then? Because it may have kept you, focused on one area while you were young. Now you're a young man and you have no direction, not understanding your purpose or identity outside of sports, right? And you may not even have an education or have finished. What do you do? And so that's the concern that I often have is the conversation, especially around our Black boys, and Black girls, but especially our Black boys, is we build programs, we build franchises, all of these things throughout secondary, college, and even the pros. We build these programs on our shoulders and our backs until we can't anymore. And so what do you say to that young man who didn't get the offer or didn't do what he was supposed to do in the classroom, and so they can't give him the offer, or has to go to JUCO or just other routes, and he just doesn't want to go that way? I've seen it all, and it really starts with, I think the conversation should be, if it's outside of sports, like Mr. Hines said, I don't discourage it. I love sports, but I think the conversation should also be, one, should be around being a student athlete. You're an athlete as well as you are a student. But then as they get older, also having something modeled or an example of how to build yourself, how to make yourself marketable, finding programs. They may have Josh Dobbs, he was a quarterback for University of Tennessee, Knoxville, right? He was an aerospace engineer while he was playing starting quarterback at UT Knoxville. Young Black man, right? And I'm bringing him up to show a point that he was the athlete as well as the student. So he soared in athletics, his academic career, but his focus was, but when I get this finished, because this is going to get me the money to fund my educational career, right? So once I complete college, now I can go on to do and be the engineer that I always wanted to be. So I think like the conversation should be about more than just athletics, you know, building your brand, whatever it is. And I think when we talked about the conversation about single moms or just single parents, I think it does make sense too. My mom was one to pray and solicit the help, the example, the modeling, the connection to positive role models for your sons, you know, that can have that conversation with them on a consistent basis, that there's more than, and I'm gonna be honest, there's more than just tossing that ball or catching it. And like Mr. Hines says, that percentage that they actually make it is 1%. It's a very small percentage. So they're working their entire lives to play sports, and not all of them are going. They may play in college, but sometimes that's as far as it goes. What happens after that point? Or what happens after high school?
Thank you, Warren. So, Mr. McCook, what happened after high school, after college?
Well, you know, the conversation is very interesting, and I think parents can be good and it can be bad in nurturing the kids regarding sports. I mean, there are some parents, let me tell you, they kill those kids. So the poor kid now is focused more on sports than the book. And they pressure the kid throughout, because you're going to be an NBA star, you're going to be an NFL star or something. And the kid may be good, but not at that level that can propel them to where they want to be. So here's a kid now, as one said, all through your school year, you're there preparing, and then you feel dejected because how many people are really going to leave the high school and go on to be a star? Not many. If you look at the NBA teams, we have all these teams. How many teams are going to actually win the NBA? Not many. I mean, you need folks to be involved, but at times I think parents can push them over the edge, and as a result, damage that kid, that they feel less of a person because there's nothing else for them to do. All they're thinking about sports, but the educational part was not there. Another thing I think is with regarding the kids, peer pressure. Peer pressure is very, 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 it's a dangerous thing. I've been around kids, and some of them, they can go out and they can have a good time. But others, the only time they have a good time is if they're drinking. They have to be drinking and get intoxicated to say, yes, we have had a good time. So that peer pressure out there, it's something that we have to instill in these young folks and be mindful and monitor them, that peer pressure does not take them over. I remember talking to a kid once, and I was saying to him, you know, because I think we were in soccer, so I knew the parents and everything, and thought those are the best parents in the world and everything. And this young man was there and saying, hey, you know, they're trying to form their friendships. And I said, you know, I think that guy there is a good guy to be your friend. Guess what? They laughed at us because that guy we're talking about was the biggest drug dealer in the school.
Wow.
Right? But because you knew the parents, you figured that, okay, if the parents are a certain stature, the kids will be in the same lineage. But we were wrong. So again, we have to be careful. The peer pressure, we have to make sure these young folks know that, look, that pressure is there. And we as parents, one of my biggest challenges was fighting that peer pressure, fighting, you know, because they spend most of their time at school with these kids, right? A lot of us parents, we have 9-to-5 jobs and we go to work. What happens when that child comes home early, right? They know what time mom and dad is getting home. So at times we think we're ahead of the game. They are way ahead of us. So we got to be mindful of those things and just pray. We just have to pray in the society we're in today. We just have to pray and show them that there is a way other than the wrong way. And hopefully, you know, we'll get some results. I know we'll get some results. with folks like Juan and I, Al and Dr. Lax and Lady Donna. I mean, we just have to keep focusing and spread the word. Our voice is out there. We have a voice for a reason. So let's use that voice.
Yes, yes, we do. We have a voice, and we should use it. You know, where do we learn how to become parents?
I read a book, Parenting 101. There was no book.
There's not.
And let's take it another place. Let's be more specific. To become fathers. Where did we learn that? Because some of us didn't have that person in our life. Where did we learn this?
You know, let me stop. My dad passed when I was 13 years old. And 4 of us. And let me tell you, my mom was a school teacher. And I think based on the culture in Jamaica at that time, some kids would have gone astray. But because of what the foundation was already laid before dad passed, he was a vet. Mom is a teacher. So you're in a home where sometimes people used to ask me if I talk patois. Yes, we talk patois, but you were with educated parents. And the foundation was just laid there for me now to actually dream of becoming a dad someday and emulate what I saw between mom and dad.
You know, I would say, unfortunately, you know, my parents divorced when I think I was about 9 or 10 years old. And so it was just a very challenging time. You be a 10-year-old. I remember acting out, you know, and I think at the time my dad had moved up to DC, so he wasn't there. And so, you know, you as a young man, I'm speaking from, you know, just that place of being that young man, looking for himself, looking for his dad, you know, and not knowing where to look and then just not being present. And then when he is, it's just not the best connection. So you walk through life, you grow up, you mature, you make your mistakes, you know, you're finding yourself, and mentors come along, father figures come along, thank God, to help steer you, you know, in the right direction. And I will say this, I remember a good friend of mine, we were working together. He was actually a football coach at one of the schools I used to work at. And I remember him getting married and him being excited about, you know, becoming a new dad. Black man. And I asked him, I was like, and he himself, his father didn't raise him at all. His grandparents raised him. And I said, how do you know that you're going to be a good dad? How do you know what it takes? And he said this, and I've held on to it because I could attest to it and connect with it. He said, Juan, he said, brother, he was like, I've seen so much wrong, or seen so much of the wrong way. I know the right way, you know? And when he said that, I was like, I can honestly, you know, agree with that, because I've seen so much of the examples that I did have and how it left me to feel, or others, that when I became a father, I knew that I never wanted my child, to the best of my ability, right? I never wanted my child to feel like I felt with mine. So because I experienced so much just wrong or disconnection or detachment, right? And even abandonment, my thought was, what can I do? How do I become a better father, a good father? And it's like you said, you know, Gary, there's no real manual to it. You learn as you go. But what can I write down to learn, glean, be mentored, whatever it is? What do I have to do that's necessary to become the father that she needs? Because I've seen so much wrong and felt it. You know, I don't want to cause that same pain and conflict within her. So what do I need to do to become that example, that model, that father for my child? So I think sometimes if you don't have that example modeled in front of you all the time, especially, you know, in your household, I think that you still have my mom always says this, we all have the power to choose. It's all about a choice. And I could have many fathers, many men, especially many black men, said, I didn't have it, so I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have it, so you should be satisfied with what I gave you. But I decided, I was like, no, that wasn't sufficient. I know what I needed, and I wish I would have received. So let me figure out how to become a better version of myself, you know, every day, so I can, leave a positive impact on my daughter.
Yeah, what I would say to that is, we are a generation with that task, with that job to break that chain, and we're doing it. I know you're doing it, Juan. Gary, you're doing it, and then Preston, we're from different generations, right? We have two different generations on here. Gary, you and I are closer, and Juan and Art was, different generations. But what I do know for sure is with and Gary, you said it earlier, with what you're doing, Juan, your focus and how your understanding and willingness to accept your responsibility. We're in a good situation, much better than before our time. So we're in a very good place to build on it. I wanna ask a question about education and career opportunities. What are some of the barriers that you're seeing out there that young Black men are facing in the education system and the workforce?
I think it's much like Mr. Hines touched on, that whole preschool to prison pipeline. I find often, especially just in my profession, that our students, just Black and brown students, when it comes to their test scores, reading scores, comprehension, math, even writing, I partner with a lot of the teachers that I work with, and it's a challenge at times, trying to teach, when there's so much other things going on at home. This conventional way of teaching just doesn't work anymore. So now a lot of where we are now in the education industry or just field, we're having to find ways to customize the experience for students. What's their learning style? Is it visual? Are they prefer audio? What does it look like for the individual student? One thing I know, research shows that if safety is a important, significant component to the achievement of a student. And so oftentimes, if the student is at home and it's not safe at home, they're not doing homework. They're not reading. They're surviving. And a lot of students are coming to school to eat, to rest, to get a break from home life, to see for the social aspect. There's so many factors that really impact student achievement. And I don't want to just make it all about inner city and the lower social economic statuses, because even the more affluent still have these issues. And so there's so many barriers there that impact learning and achievement. But I honestly believe, and I mean this in no and not in a negative way, but I honestly believe it starts at home. Research shows that if there's some level of education from the parents, then that sets the standard for the student. But if the parents are uneducated, then that also sets the standard for the student. They don't see achievement. They see survival. But if parents are educated, high school graduation or GED and then college, that student goes just a bit further. And so I really think that it starts at home. And one thing I know you didn't ask this, but I'm working on now, I've been partnering with some community leaders about parent university, because I think we often leave the parents out. And a lot of parents aren't, I don't want to say unfit, but they don't struggle in their parenthood because they just want to struggle. They're not absent because they want to be absent. A lot of them are trying to figure out just how to make it day by day, or they have to work to feed their kids. And so they miss a lot, and then they're tired. So they're not coming home and having the energy to do homework with their child and stuff like that. So community, leaders like as myself are working with other organizations and agencies to provide some education for parents, so they can get a GED, so they can get a certification or a license or whatever they're desiring to get, so they can take it a little further, in their continuing education efforts.
You're on mute, Gary.
Gary.
Yes. Interestingly, I got a WhatsApp text. I'm on this group and I got a WhatsApp text, and it's interesting you ask that. And I'm just going to read a quick little thing for you. Just going to break it up. It says, there are stark gaps in access to advanced math courses among high achieving students, according to a recent study, right? The report found that 46% of Asian students, 19% of white students, and 29% of students from high socioeconomic backgrounds took advanced placement and international baccalaureate calculus by the time they graduated high school. Meanwhile, listen to this, meanwhile, just 10% of high achieving Black students, 15% of Latino, and 11% of low income students did the same. And that's from a recent study. So again, at times, the opportunities and that our students get, or sometimes I find a lot of our folks, they may be looking the easy way out. So they're looking to do the marketing or the business stuff where you just, get a degree and you're out of there. But that degree now it's just a degree. While the other students who went on to something more in IT or something else, there are more job opportunities for them. So you find that they will always be above. I used to tell my kids that, look, we're in a subdivision that you have 50 homes and you have 3 families that look like us. Don't fool yourself and play with these kids here, because guess what? Their parents already, they're set in life. They're set in life. Their parents will help them to buy the first house, while you have to go work for 15 years before you can even think about a house. So you have to watch what you do in terms of your education. Make sure it's something that's marketable, and also make sure that you just stay focused, because we're behind.
Yeah, we're certainly behind. I just want to remind our listeners and those watching that we're talking about the role of a Black male in today's society, not so friendly society. And Donnie, anything you want to add? We're getting close to time. I know you've been listening to these gentlemen talk. And by the way, Art, he's had some technical difficulties. He'll try to come back on hopefully before we wrap it up. But if not, there will be more opportunities, right? We'll be having this. This is an ongoing conversation. There's no end to this conversation. Not until the problem is fixed, right? There's no end. So, Don, anything you want to?
Oh my gosh, I can add so much. I'll probably take a whole another hour. And the reason is because I have the honor of raising a son who's 14 years old. And I've seen and still see a lot of very subtle, intentional discrimination that happens with our Black boys from a very young age, to where it tarnishes their self-esteem, who they are, who they believe they can be, even when you're doing a great job at home.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's the curriculum in the school that is set up to show our children a photograph. Black is bad, white is great. Your child comes home having self-esteem issues. Now, Mom, I want to be white. I no longer want to be Black.
Wow.
This is happening from they're here. So by the time they get here, it's almost too late. They've already been broken here. And I'm saying that because it's what I've witnessed. Mm-hmm. And I've had to fight. So I commend you all for what you're doing. And our boys, they definitely need encouragement. They need lots of love and support. So I just commend y'all. But yes, I can have a whole hour or more with this conversation because it's pretty deep.
It's deeper than deep. Mm-hmm. How deep can you go, right? Yes.
It's loaded.
Powerful stuff there. When they've been broken at such an early age, how do you, put it back together, right?
Mm-hmm.
really is a question, and too often that is a question. Before we close, and I promise you, this is not a one-time discussion that we're having about this topic. In fact, we will be having one. Will be hosting a show. That we'll be talking about things like this, where we'll be inviting men to come on. And it will be done with a collision with purpose. We have yet to come up with a name for it, but women can also come on, by the way, because just with Donna's input there, you'll see why it cannot be a show of just one gender, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the focus will be to help us with the healing that we need, right? And we so badly need. Because if the home is absent, a man, not just a man in the home or a man in the home, but one who's doing what he's supposed to do.
Absolutely.
If it's absent that, then we have some problems, right? And we don't want to carry that problems. We're here to break that chain, right? To just dismantle it. So in closing, what I would like to ask you, Gary, and one to do now, our thing today is the role of a black male in today's society. I want you in a couple sentences. Tell me what your role is.
I would say a leader, a coach, a father, but most importantly, in this hour, in this time, a voice. What comes to mind, of course, is is Isaiah when it talks about John the Baptist. That voice that cries out in the wilderness, and he's crying out because he's preparing the way for Jesus to come right and do what Jesus was called to do. In a sense, I liken it to my role as in being that voice crying out, knowing that there's this generation that's coming that has a lot to say. Skill, talent, passion, all of these things, but it's our job to prepare the way for them to come. So I feel like in this time of my life that I'm that voice, be it just speaking on behalf of a generation, a community, fathers, groups, whatever it is, just moving to prepare the way for those groups to come, for that generation to come, and just soar and achieve and do greater exploits. So that's, I would say now, a voice.
Yeah, I would say, gotta stand tall. Gotta stand tall. Gotta lead by example, because everything nowadays is visual. These kids are on Facebook and all that stuff. So if we can populate Facebook with a lot of positive influences of men, black men in leadership roles, then we should be good. And just have that voice. Just have the voice. Keep on in every situation or opportunity we get, just having our head that we are mentors. Yeah. And they are looking on. They're looking at what we are doing. Talk about the songs out there. You can have fun songs that have a positive impact than the songs that are just negative. I remember writing a song once, and I sent it to a friend, and they said, "No, that's too clean. Too clean." That's not gonna sell. That's too clean. So, but you can be clean and not mean and achieve. So you gotta lead by example, and try not to make people the outside influence. The kids that are right, the outside influence impact you so much. We gotta have them to just keep focus and remind them that the forces from outside are gonna come, but we gotta remember what was taught from within, and just trying to hold on to that. And we should make a difference.
And a difference it will make indeed. It's important that we challenge assumptions. We've been living with all these assumptions that without even questioning them, right? All these things we've been told that we've accepted, without any level of, where did they get that from? Who told them? How do we know that what they're telling us is right? And we're just accepting them, just going by like everything is okay. I think the time is here that we must all ask questions. We must all seek answers. We must all say, why am I doing this? How do I know this is correct? Right? I think we're at a place right now, and it is our responsibility. We, all of us, our responsibility, males, females. I know this conversation is about, the black males in today's society, but there's no strong black male without a partner who is just as strong, or sometimes even more stronger. Especially in our culture, they tend to be stronger, right? Women tend to be stronger. So it's a team, it's an effort, it's a community, it's a village that we have, and we must come together as in that village and do the work. Each of us, irrespective of the age, the generation, whatever they call them, millennium, whatever they call them. We cannot say we're over here, it's your turn. We're all living during the same time. So we all have that responsibility to step up and deliver. Mr. Hines is back. I'm going to bring him back on. And I'm going to welcome back, Mr. Hines.
Yes, well, thank you.
So, Mr. Hines, we're closing out, but I do have a question for you, right? Is he gone again?
I think so.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying there's no separation because we're all living. Some are just older, some are younger, but we're all living during the same time, having the same experiences. We're all experiencing technology, innovation in the same way. So I encourage, especially older folks who are saying it's their thing, I'm all encouraging them to say, get on board, understand what the young folks are doing. Join them. Don't act as if what you know best. They have so much more to offer us. They're living in times where information is coming at them at such a rate, and they're more receptive. So they're learning more than we have learned and we will ever learn. So we ought to learn from them. So, Mr. Hines, if you could tell me one thing, tell our audience, what is and real quick, because we need to wrap up here, what is your role? What is your role as a black man in today's society? In 2 sentences.
Make as many informed decisions as I can and have it to impact as many people as I can, based on facts as opposed to hearsay. For example, if we take a very close look at the Emancipation Proclamation, which was the document that was signed by President Abraham Lincoln, that document did free the slaves to a certain extent, but at the same time, it left big gaping loopholes in it so that Jim Crow could take root. If you look at Section 10 of the Emancipation Proclamation, take a look at Section 10 and see how it reads. It says that you're free as long as you don't commit any crime, but it doesn't define what a crime is. And any person who is white could say anything, and it's your word against his, that's a crime for you. If you're black, it'll say something about vagrants. If you're just out of slavery and you don't have a job and can't get a job, you're vagrant. You can be reincarcerated. So, I want people to really take a close look at these documents that they assume, well, Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves. No, that's true, but it's not true too. So, I want people to be informed. Go back and look at the documents for yourself and see what you see. And then once you find it, don't keep it a secret. Let people know.
Well, what a great way to end this, right? Let's not keep it a secret, right? Share, 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 share. Yeah. So important. Something that we're not doing enough of. And that's what this platform is about in the spotlight. We're here to share. We're here to bring on individuals like Art Hines, like Gary McCook, like Juan, to share. And that's exactly what you did tonight. Donna, you want to take us out? Thank our guests and take us out. Unless you have tell us your role as a Black woman. What about that?
My
What is your
role,
role as a Black woman?
my role as a Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very hard role, just like our Black men. Because as a Black woman, we gotta nurture our Black men. We gotta protect them. We gotta look out for them. It's a huge responsibility because this world is very unkind to them. It's scary if you are a Black mother raising a Black boy. It's a very scary world we're living in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for setting the next topic. Your role as a Black woman in this scary world we live in. That will be our next discussion. Let's put that panel together. Let's line up that panel. Because you just set the topic for that. You really did. Well, gentlemen, really appreciate you coming on and for what you've shared with us tonight. I know for me, as a Black male, we live in a place where it's not very friendly all the time. It's a place where we must pay attention. We must walk carefully, but yet still be aggressive. So it's one of those balancing. We're on a tightrope, right? We must go after it, as Mr. Hines will tell you. We can't sit back and wait for it to come to us. We can't. In fact, if you don't, chances are it won't happen for you. We must go after it. But as Mr. R said, we must read and pay attention to those things that we taught said one thing. And often when you dig deeper in there, it's saying something totally different. So understanding what you're reading, and again, just challenge everything. Don't be afraid to say, I want to know more. Ask some questions. Isn't that what you're saying, Mr. Hines? Ask some questions.
Exactly. You're absolutely on point.
Ask some questions. So I think we've been on now. We were supposed to be on for 1 hour. We've been on for hour 22 minutes, but when the conversation is good, you keep it going, right? And that's exactly what we did. But I want to say thanks to all those who's watching for joining us, and just share this when the replay is out there. Just share it. I think this is information that everyone needs to know about. So Donna, please take us out.
All right, thank you all for joining us. Another week of In the Spotlight. I would like to say this is the holiday season. Wishing you all the very best with you and your families for the holiday season. Be safe. Give lots of love to your friends and family and spread love and joy. Thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful evening.
And we will be back January 8th. We're going to take a break, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back January 8th. And stay tuned for Juan and the thing he's going to be doing. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate you all. And enjoy your holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.